In today's episode of HR Visionaries, we talk to Stacie from DOZR. We talk about the importance to understand your clients as HR. Stay tuned. Welcome to HR Visionaries, where we unlock the secrets of modern HR. I'm Benjamin, your host. Join us as we shed light on today's HR universe with HR leaders and innovators from across the globe. Whether you're an HR pro, a business leader, or just curious about the future of work, this is your shortcut to the forefront of HR innovation. Brought to you by Hire, the AI talent attraction platform. Welcome to the latest episode of HR Visionaries. I'm very much looking forward to my guest today, Stacie. It's really cool to have you on.
It's great to be here. Thank you so much for hosting me, Benjamin. I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Stacie, can you tell us a bit about yourself? Who are you?
Absolutely. I love that question. So from, professional capacity, I've spent the better portion of 2 decades in the HR global space, primarily in the tech sector. I have grown up from a recruitment talent acquisition background and moved into more of the HR business partnering and now HR strategy space. So that has been kind of the cool ride that I've had from the career side of things. And then on a personal level, I am a proud mother of 2, and I spend lots of time with my little ones, and as well as projects that I really enjoy in the construction, renovation, and real estate space.
Can you tell me a bit about what you guys do?
Yeah, so I work for a great company called DOZR. We are a two-sided marketplace in the heavy equipment rental industry. We cover North America. We make up a percentage of a $60 billion industry that is traditionally a little bit, behind in the times of tech adaptation. With construction and heavy equipment kind of always being a couple years behind what maybe other industries would be. So our tech innovation and bringing real-time availability to our customers and suppliers alike is our way of kind of moving the sector and the industry forward.
What's your personal relationship to the construction industry and heavy equipment?
Yeah, I'm really proud to say that I love and enjoy the industry, and that's what drew me towards DOZR, not just as a tech organization and a marketplace, and that it also is in the construction sector, which me myself, I actually grew up around it with my father owning a small construction company when I was young and being, right on the job sites at a very young age. And then myself, as I came into my own career and started to do my own, side passion projects, it started with home renovation projects that I would get, involved with myself, like, building out a basement or, doing an extension. And then, as I started to acquire rental properties or, take on exciting projects like building cabins to rent out, I became more and more involved in, not just the project management, but the actual hands-on of demolition and doing some of the design and even the reconstruction. So it's been something that I've enjoyed and loved and been involved with in some capacity throughout my entire life.
It's very exciting, and I'm wondering, have you ever operated one of these machines?
It's funny that you asked that because it was an opportunity that I had very recently to actually get into a bulldozer and learn how to operate it. I wanted to take the opportunity to do so so that I could better understand our customers' needs and wants. And I think learning and being applied hands-on is always a great way to do that. I think the biggest learning for me was that you constantly need to be moving the blade. I just assumed that once you kind of got in the piece of equipment, it was just kind of staying the course. But the reality is you're constantly correcting for the ground level. So it was a lot of moving parts and continuously kind of adjusting, which gave me a greater appreciation for the hardworking people that do that job every day.
I find it so it's so interesting to learn about this, given, well, we as office workers, we very often find it perhaps hard to relate to people who work, well, without an aircon, who work very hard manual labor. So that's probably something really valuable for you to understand your clients very well, and not just like visiting quickly, but to really know what it means to work with heavy machinery and work hard manual labor.
Absolutely. I think that the appreciation for the challenges in another person's day-to-day or work really helps you to be able to best support your customer base. Understanding that a piece of equipment showing up on time, clean, fueled, the right piece of equipment for the job really does make the difference and can be an extremely crucial part of the success of our customers. So seeing it firsthand is really important. But I do think that doing great customer research and customer investigations and user experience types of activities can also allow you to to really intimately understand your customers' challenges. So I think it was a great experience for me, but I know as a business we do a lot of different customer secret shopper interviews, things like that, to understand their pain points as well.
When you get new people on board, how do you make sure that people share this kind of spirit in terms of, well, we want to know what the people need who we serve?
That is a great question, because the intersection of tech and construction, isn't always so common. I
Indeed.
think, yeah. So I think that, when you bring on great talent, it's then your job to inform them about, the challenges, and to have them spend time shadowing, with the folks that are on the front lines dealing with our customers, so that they can hear and see and understand for themselves the unique challenges, as well as the passions, the wins, the things that impact our customers day to day, so that they can be informed and better serve the customers, being able to see it from their lens point. So when team members join our organization, the good majority do spend time shadowing or training with our team members that are in customer service roles or inside sales roles, so they can see the whole transaction and how the interactions go. And of course, I share videos of myself in the bulldozer, as well as lots of other fun resources to try and just infuse wherever we can great learnings.
Okay, right. So there are videos you in the bulldozer.
Yes, I had to keep myself honest and share a video with the broader team. So it was a pretty short video, but it was available to everybody, and I'm sure those who have operated equipment themselves in the past cringed a bit on my speed, as I was going quite slow. But I wanted to show the team that it's important to be a lifelong learner and to always be willing to try new things. So that was something that I had committed to the broader team that I would share in our learning and development Slack channel.
I do think it's also quite a challenge to to keep people aligned. So given I think there are so many people who who start university and then start their job not having done a day of manual labor in their life, and then you have kind of deviating parts of society, and therefore the making sure that people understand how hard people work in those fields is incredibly important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was one of the great things about recruitment for me early in to my career was I got to intimately understand what the requirements were for so many different roles within an organization and having to understand what people do enough to be able to, ask them questions and understand what our companies or client companies needed in order for that role to be successful. Gave me a great understanding for what people do in the world. Recruitment opened my eyes to so many different roles and responsibilities within organizations that when I was in school, I had no idea about. And I think that, so many of the roles, as I've continued to, keep a hand in talent acquisition and recruitment, so many roles have evolved over the years, so that people are continuously needing to learn and develop their skills on the job, as well as taking initiatives on their own time, to be continuously learning and evolving. Rather it's their company is willing to adapt and evolve, or if it's on them to stay current. I think that for myself in recruitment, it's been really great to be exposed. But I do think we take for granted how many people don't have that exposure and that appreciation for what others do. And so, as an organization, we do a lot of shout outs to give visibility to the broader organization about what team members are doing on a day-to-day basis to move the needle forward. So your shout outs aren't just a kudos and a thank you. A shout out is a summary of the great work that was done by that team member to be able to see improvements, or us move towards our targets.
When you talk about your organization with with talents that don't know too much about you as DOZR, in particular in the tech space, you mentioned it before. This is very, very remote. So how do you communicate that you are a great company and that, this is a great field to work in? Not that people are ignorant, but people just not knowing.
That is a great question. And I think with any scaling organization in a unique space or a niche space, it's on the people and culture team to be reaching out to talent. I think there's very few companies that have the luxury of posting positions and relying on quality applicants to apply. So I know for myself and my team, we are proactive in our recruitment initiatives to look for great talent and reach out to them direct. And I think when you're reaching out to someone direct, it first off is a great compliment, that their profile stood out and that they were interesting for several reasons. When you are having that conversation with them about learning a bit about their background because you've taken the time to reach out direct, you then have the opportunity to infuse the things that are great about your organization that mirror some of the things that they've enjoyed in their past roles. So I think it's more of a conversation. It's more of a fact finding type of engagement when you're sourcing versus fielding through applicants. So it's more effort, it is more laborsome, but I do find that the quality in the conversations is always really strong when you go from that perspective. And then from when we are posting, we absolutely do post. We try and be thoughtful about where we're posting our vacancies or ads, sharing posts during trade associations, or the intersection of tech and construction. There are other companies that do things that are different than ours. Maybe it's tech project management software or estimation software. There are some areas where people are coming together and congregating with both technology and physical construction. And so we try and leverage all of the different channels to be able to attract talent that maybe naturally has interest in the construction sector, but haven't had the opportunity yet to work in it, or work in some neighboring or sister type industries that would translate over really well. So I think it's a combination, and then it's the willingness, once you do find great talent who maybe doesn't have the exact exposure, to train and develop them and have them learn about your industry through different channels.
I find this incredibly interesting, given, well, in particular, the tech industry, you always picture white-collar workers working with white-collar workers for white-collar workers, and it's different, right? So it's a very different story. Do you communicate a lot about, well, what kind of impact you make in terms of workplace security, or in terms of in terms of also when you think about health in general, not just like workplace security, but also that people that use that use your products will probably lead a much healthier life than if they just did it like with manual labor.
You know what? I've never thought of it from that perspective. I know I have been on the end of a shovel myself and wished that I had a heavy piece of equipment to move the dirt much quicker.
So so for me, for example, when I do that for one Saturday, I'm looking forward to my office job on Monday. So because it's that tiring, and well, your back hurts and you don't feel well, and you just wonder how people how people can well, live a healthy life, well, doing so much manual labor indeed.
Yeah, and you know what? There are a lot of challenges in the construction sector around the themes of physical health, because there's a lot of strain on their bodies. There's a lot of exposure to the weather, and as well there does become in some cases dependencies on pain medication in order to be able to perform the job. So this is a topic that is really relevant, and I know my CEO, Kevin Forrestal, has done some podcasts himself and some talks about, the wear that the construction sector puts on their people, on their teams, and in some cases how it does create, opioid dependencies, and as well as, strain on their mental health. And so there are some really big challenges in the industry that, we have yet to solve for. But on a lighter note, absolutely, equipment is an innovation of the construction sector, right? It's not a recent innovation. Heavy equipment has been around for a very long time, but it has enabled human capacity to significantly increase and be able to have longer careers in the field, and so I think there's some incredible things from that perspective, that now we're able to bring that equipment quicker and easier to the general public and to the construction sector. So I think there's lots of great coming out of that.
What have been the great challenges for the last few years for you as a team?
I think that, like many people in the HR space, COVID was really difficult. It was really difficult to send all your team members home, have them work remote, keeping them engaged. They were juggling all kinds of emotional and social challenges during that time. And then, coming out of it, it was kind of that hangover stage of, okay, well, things have been blurred. I've learned to operate in this certain function, and now we're switching, and things will never really be the same. And now we're just past that time where we've kind of all got back into our norms. I kind of air quote that, but we're still figuring out how we're going to continue to evolve. There are some things that have stuck. The remote option is something that I think a lot of people want to continue forward with, not necessarily because it works best for them in their lives, but because it's convenient, or because they've relocated and it's a requirement for them now. So I think that, you know, we're all trying to find a way to evolve and adapt where, you know, there isn't a one size fits all anymore. No one organization can provide, you know, same offerings to every team member. And so it's tricky from an HR standpoint to ensure, you know, equality, you know, a fair level playing field for everybody when there is, you know, some remote, some hybrid, some in office. There's also, you know, with this hangover stage and then, you know, trying to evolve and get back to the norm, there has been, you know, some downturns in the industries and in the sectors. And so that has resulted in a reduction in workforce for a lot of organizations. And with that, we have to find ways to work, you know, smarter and more efficiently. And that requires team members to pivot, to evolve, to come up with new ways and better ways of doing their roles. And that can be a challenge and requires, you know, people that are very adaptable and natural, like lifelong learners, like people that are willing to, you know, kind of be solutions driven and come out on top when it comes to, you know, faced with adversity. So I think that, you know, there's the last 5 years has probably been the most rapid in terms of changes and trends and in the HR space. Certainly it's been the most exciting for myself anyways, versus, you know, the 12, 13 years previous to that. But I'm very grateful for it because I think some of the discomfort forced us into places of, you know, evolving and doing better that would have otherwise taken, you know, quite some time to get there. So as much as, you know, it was painful, it was needed. And so I think we're on a great path as an industry or as a profession. And I know we have so much further to go, and that no one person has all the answers. And that's why I'm so grateful for, you know, things like this wonderful podcast where we get to, you know, come together and speak about, you know, the challenges, the wins, the questions that we all still are faced with, and know that we're not alone and that we have incredible networks that we can reach out to help, you know, shoulder some of the weight and you know, set one another up for success.
Indeed, and it's really cool to hear your perspective, given, well, as you said, so there are, well, so many challenges around that, well, people, that people, well, nobody has an answer for. So, for example, what you just mentioned with regards to the hybrid versus work from home versus working from the office full time, that, well, ensuring equality is something that, well, presents a major task to companies, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a conversation that is being had with all of my peer groups about, you know, how do we ensure that everyone feels they have equal opportunity to, you know, gain face-to-face time with leaders, or, you know, spend
Indeed.
time networking with colleagues when, you know, your position may not allow for you to be in person, or, you know, you don't have a personal setup where you can be, you know, in the office space. And so, you know, those challenges are real. And I know for myself and my team, we always try and find different ways to engage the team in rather, you know, cross-functional projects, volunteer initiatives, where, you know, team members can come together and work on solutions for problems that are facing, you know, cross-functional teams, and be able to be impactful and, you know, work together where maybe they wouldn't normally have that opportunity. Volunteer on culture committees so that, you know, different members of different teams can come together and talk about what they're experiencing in their team, or, you know, what they could bring value to another team on something that they've figured out that works really nicely or really well. And you know, even just things like socials, hosting virtual socials to try and, bring people together, have some laughs, create a sense of belonging. That is a step towards. It will never replace the connectivity of in person, of being able to make eye contact without a screen, to be able to, have that close proximity, to be able to have water cooler conversation, or, to notice that someone doesn't seem themselves or have that regular energy, and to be able to provide an ear to listen if they want to talk. So I do think that, when we have these scheduled interactions, they aren't as ideal as, when you have just that unplanned collisions of creativity or connection. But with what we have, we're doing our absolute best, with the combination of remote and hybrid. But I think it will continue to evolve, and it's conversations like this where we get to share tips and tricks and ideas and things we observe and do better.
Well, I'm wondering, so as you said, so there are many people who changed also their the way of living, so moving perhaps a bit further away from the office, moving away to perhaps where you come from, and for those people it might be challenging to get to the office overall. And will it then be ever possible to ensure that those people have the same opportunities as those who are in the office every day and can have the conversation with their manager over a coffee casually without the need to schedule something?
That is a great question that I probably ask myself multiple times a week. How do we create that authentic, genuine interaction? When I think about our scheduled one-on-ones, right? We know it's coming. We're preparing for it. We have our agenda items. We're going to have the conversations. But you're right. We've lost that organic, run into each other in the hall, have a conversation when we need it most, as opposed to waiting for, the scheduled time once a week. And I think that, we're getting closer with a lot of the tools and the technology that's at our fingertips. With most organizations that I've worked at, we've used messaging applications like Slack, or even, in Google, there's a chat messaging app as well. And I think the ability to message folks within your team instantly has helped in some ways to replicate that in-office turnaround from your desk, blurt out your question. I think, that's one of the closest things we can. And I know that, the coffee chats that used to happen organically do need to be scheduled now. I know with, my current company and my former company, we've done, scheduled coffee chats throughout the organization where we've, matched up people within the organization and given them a couple suggested icebreakers to, have some fun and easy conversation, once every 2 weeks or so. And I know that those conversations have produced some really exciting, fun, interesting, things that have followed up, like, projects or ideas or initiatives, or even just friendships, spark some friendships within the organization. But again, it still does tend to be scripted, or even if not scripted or scheduled, it's very intentional. We do need to be extremely intentional in our interactions in a remote or hybrid setting. Whereas I felt like when I was 100% in office, it was effortless, right? You just knew at some point during the day you were going to have some unscripted interactions. So it's changed, but if we're evolving, right? We're evolving.
Indeed, and the spontaneousness around, just people turning around, asking a question, asking for help, asking for or offering support. So, I've just noticed I can share some experience around whatever. So I think this is what I like so much about being in the office, and I'm a bit worried that this will disappear in a hybrid world.
I agree with you, and I hope it never does. I hope that at some point we do get back to everyone going into the office that can at some point during the week or month, because I do think it's really beneficial for us to be in person. I think there's something that comes from in person, that energy, that excitement. I do think that there's health benefits truly to spending time around people. But I think that we'll have to reimagine what it looks like. I do think that the 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, everyone is in office, that is gone forever. I do believe that that is for most industries. There may be some that do require it, but for myself and my experience being primarily in the tech sector, I do think that that would be really hard to enforce and still be able to maintain retaining the top talent, the top technical talent. So I think that we do need to reimagine what it looks like, and we need to set clear expectations in terms of when we are hiring and how we are planning to retain team members. About if it is important as an organization to have team members spend a percentage of the time in office so that they can benefit from some of those interactions. Maybe we make it clear it's at your discretion. You have autonomy, but we'd love to have you in the office 4 times a month. Is that something that you think you can commit to? Great. What days would make the most sense for you? Because I'm going to make a suggestion based on when the majority of the team that you interact with the most is going to be present. And I'd also like to request that there's a certain number of days per month or per week or per year that we're going to come together as an individual team or the broader organization to have really impactful sessions. So it may not be a requirement every single day of your individual contributions and outputs, but it may be really important on a monthly basis to come in once for a broader team an individual team meeting to talk about what we achieved that month and what we anticipate to achieve next month, and be a little bit creative and collaborate. And maybe quarterly, we want to come together as entire organization to host an all hands meeting that maybe has a hybrid component where those who cannot make it in can still call in, but for the majority to be present and to then be able to have a little bit of time to mingle and interact. And I think we'll start to settle in for every organization on what works best, and I do think that it'll have to be fluid and adaptable. But I think we'll eventually get to a place where there is a more consistent level of hybrid and interaction, human interaction in person.
Do you think there should be some kind of a compensation component be attached? And I appreciate this is a very open question, and it could be, of course, that there's a pay increase for those who are supposed to be more often in an office, let's say in downtown Toronto, where rents are of course much higher than in rural areas, or whether there should be some kind of a salary compromise from those people who appreciate working a lot from home in a remote area where life is of course much more affordable.
That's a really good question.
It's a tough one, right?
It is. It is a very tough question, because I think that, as HR professionals, when we're putting together, rewards and total compensation packages, all things are considered. Cost of living, size of organization, profitability, requirements within the role, volumes of work, scarcity of the talent that you're trying to recruit for. There's so many aspects that now go into competitive modeling for individual team members. And I think that, with compensating those that, go into an office for their expense could be a double-edged sword, because those folks might actually really enjoy getting into the office, and, those that are remote, and maybe doing, equal or more greater amounts of work, who maybe don't have the cost of the commute, may have really enjoyed the opportunity to be in the office if they had the luxury of being in region, or if they had, the capability to be there. So maybe their personal life or their medical restrictions may not allow for that. So I do think that, from an equality standpoint, it would be really tricky to, provide a premium for those in office. I think that where there's a will, there's a way. And, some organizations may be able to, put that in place to attract more team members to go into the office, a premium. There's certainly industries that have been doing things of this nature for many years. When I think about consulting in my early days, mining and construction companies in remote regions have always had a live out allowance, as they call it. So if you're on the job site, living there for 2 weeks on, and then you rotate and fly back home and you're 2 weeks off, you would be paid a premium for being on site away from your home. And so that's been a standard practice for many years in different sectors, and it has helped with the retention and recruitment challenges of, being in very remote areas, and in the Nunavik of northern Canada, on a mine site, working away from home.
Or an oil rig.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, that's exactly it. So I think that it's something that, other sectors have, faced the challenge, and it's worked really well for them. But, when it comes to the tech space, I think there's probably arguments on both sides about, what would possibly be fair from, a work output perspective for being rather in office or out of office. So yeah, I think there's probably, we could probably spend a couple hours on that topic, to be honest. So,
Indeed.
yeah.
And then one could look at these extreme examples, right? So, for example, it's probably fair that those people who work on an on an oil platform in the middle of the Atlantic, that they should receive a premium, and at the same time, one can of course ask, and then we're getting basically back to where we started. Well, for those people who work in the construction industry, for them it's not possible to work from home, and then therefore how to maintain a level playing field that everyone feels they are treated fairly.
Absolutely. Yeah, that it does come full circle, and you are right. I think, some of these industries are having to come up with creative ways to recruit and then retain, and, compensation in some cases is retention a method. When it comes to skilled trades, there is absolutely a shortage in North America of skilled trades, and we're trying to get involved at the earlier levels of, attracting, young minds to take that path into becoming trades, as they do require commitments. When you think about an electrician, my nephew is in the process of becoming an electrician. Well, it's a 5-year apprenticeship.
Mm-hmm.
That commitment is the duration longer than most children would take in university, right? Most would be a 4-year program. So it is a commitment that you need to be clear on at a fairly young age to be competitive in the landscape of, well, my nephew could have went and become a software engineer. He was very interested and skilled in, coding. And so for him, it was an option, but he also knows that he likes to be physical, hands-on. He likes to be out in nature and, in the fresh air. And so for him, it was actually a natural and easy selection to take on, the trades program, so that he could be in an environment that he enjoyed more so, even though he was inclined to have taken, either or career path. So for him, it wasn't as appealing to, spend 9-10 hours a day coding in front of a screen. For him, it was a clear choice that he'd rather be out in the heat because he enjoyed it. So I think we have to, help our youth identify what it is that they want out of their careers, and then guide them towards those paths. And I know that, there has to be commitment from, companies to also bring education and awareness about, potential career paths to youth, so that they can be informed.
Well, and be and do what they are best at.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's where a lot of people maybe become complacent or unhappy in their careers, is when they are doing things that they're good at but don't love. And so I think it's really brave when you can identify that, what you're doing isn't something that you love, and that you make the step to go towards what you love. And I think that, you do your best work when you love your work, and every day doesn't feel like another day. If you can get up and feel like, what you're doing, you're good at, but you're also really enjoying it and taking pride in it, then I think that, you've found your calling. And it isn't easy for everyone. I don't think, it's clear for everyone that, what they're great at or what they enjoy is what they can make money doing, and sustain their lives and their families. But when you can, you certainly do feel blessed and appreciative of that.
Awesome, Stacie. It was very cool talking to you. Thanks a lot for all the ideas you shared, and I think, well, what you talked about, how to provide equal opportunities to people who work from home, people who are mostly in the office. It's a super big topic, and well, probably we haven't found the best solution yet, but I'm not sure that there is one, and it will be a topic that will stay with us for decades, probably.
I would agree. Yeah. I think we're going to continue to make improvements. I think we're going to continue to move the needle forward. But I think that the hybrid, remote, what's best, what's the combination, will be unique for every organization and for every person. I think that we do have to remember that we're all unique individuals, and that if the company has the luxury of the flexibility, that we should, when we can, extend it to our team to be able to figure out what works best for them, in combination with what works well for the organization. So yeah, it is an interesting topic. It is one that we're continuing to chip away at, and I think that we've made great strides.
Stacie, thank you so much again. It was lovely talking to you, and yeah, thanks again.
Likewise, it was my pleasure, and thanks for the time and the platform.
And thanks to all of you guys for listening in, and speak next time.